Welcome to Work Style Stories, because life changes and every life is different. This week, we're talking about escaping the bureaucracy of corporate life, of the search for autonomy, for creating a life and work of our own, and for our own well-being. And to talk about that, I'm joined by Brittany. Hello, Brittany. Welcome to Work Style Stories.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's an absolute honor to have you, founder of Remote Collective. Before we get into the detail on your work style, would you mind just telling everyone who you are, where you are, and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Brittany Bond. I am currently on Koh Phangan, which is a tiny island in Thailand. And I'm a business consultant, an investor, and a coach to empower women in business.
Incredible. And you work remotely, but also encourage other people to remote work too, right?
Yes, I'm always campaigning about remote work.
So a lady after our own hearts, and obviously at Work Style Revolution, we're in the same camp with the potential for remote working to benefit our well-being. So you kind of always been doing that. So let's go back a little bit to the beginning of kind of life pre-remote working, and your kind of early formative years of work. What type of work were you doing, and what was it like?
I was a paralegal in intellectual property law, so it's
Okay.
a step below a lawyer in the US, and I did that for years, working in an office, getting on the, my last place I worked was New York City, so I'd get on the train for an hour each way every day and work for 8 or 9 hours, and that was my life.
Wow. Visions of Suits crop into my head immediately when you say that, the TV program. And I can imagine as a result what the working culture was like as a result of that. I mean, how close was it to, you know, that kind of portrayal of long hours and, you know, corporate kind of tensions, I suppose?
Yeah, I would say it's creepily accurate.
Right. Okay.
My friends would love watching that Suits show, and I'm like, I can't watch that. That is my everyday life.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it was, you ended up, sometimes they would even have places at the office where you could sleep just so you would keep working.
Really?
Yeah, it was really bad.
My goodness. So you did that for 6 years. Feel like you deserve some sort of accolade for lasting that long, but I guess that was kind of the way it was. And if you wanted to do that type of work, those are the sorts of things you had to do. So what did you do after that then? What was the sort of, was there a straw that broke the camel's back? Was there something that made you decide to do something different?
Yeah, I always wanted to work remotely, even when I graduated high school and into university. That was my thing. As I wanted to help people, I wanted to make impact, but I wanted to have my own freedom. And so even within the law firms, I would internally help, be kind of an internal consultant and help them go paperless, with the total selfish end goal of having me be allowed to work remotely.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I was able to do that at 3 different law firms, and the last one, the third one, let me work remotely and live in Costa Rica while I was working for them.
Amazing. So perseverance pays, and you were obviously always concerned with creating your own destiny and creating the conditions for you to work around the world and in different places, which is awesome. And to have had that viewpoint for such a long time is really inspiring. So you started working remotely whilst working at a law firm as well in Costa Rica. And then how did that develop? What happened to kind of after that?
Yeah, the culture within the legal field is always, it's too traditional for me. I can't handle it. Like they were willing to let me work remotely because I helped them so much. And then the attitude was like, okay, we gave you your 6 months and now you need to come back in the office and work for the rest of your life for us. And I was like, I can't do this. I had already freedom. Yeah, I couldn't handle it.
But presumably it was a success. It's not like you'd done it for 6 months, it hadn't worked, and therefore we, you know, needed to try something different. Presumably it had worked, and there was no real kind of performance reason to do that.
Yeah. From all my KPIs were like actually off the charts, which we all know if you work remotely, you have more time, you have more creativity, blah, blah, blah. So but back then, this is like 2014, and this is like old white men in suits, you know, like they did not want they didn't even like the idea of me like being near the beach when they had to be in the office. I think it was more
Yeah, it's a jealousy factor. And presumably were you a distinct minority, maybe the only person working that way
I was
at that time?
the only one. And actually back then, the reason why I was able to work remotely was that I had made myself indispensable in the office. I like did it on
Right.
purpose, where I would volunteer for extra work and I would like work on all these projects that no one else was
Okay.
wanting to work on. And then they really couldn't do anything without me. I mean,
Amazing.
it would be hard if they let go of me. So they were like, okay, we want you need to come back.
So you said, no, I'm not doing that. And so what's life like for you now? What does your work style enable? How do you work?
Yeah, I mean, it was a journey. I mean, that was almost 6 years ago. So it has been many evolutions of when I first started working remotely, I started a travel company and that helped pay for my way. And then I've been a consultant for large corporates based in Asia. So I would base out of Kuala Lumpur, and then I would fly every month to a different country and sit with like, you know, the CEOs of Coca-Cola of the Asian world and this and that, and tell them how to run their companies of like 50, 100,000 people. And I'm just like, oh my God. But it was really amazing because it was interesting because someone with my business background, there wasn't that many of me in Asia yet. And so all of a sudden everyone wanted to work with me out here. And then I could also, on top of that, run my own schedule. So I told them for this one consulting company, I want to live and work in Thailand, but you can fly me out wherever you want for a week, a month. And so we worked out a deal. Everything was negotiable. So then I went from there to consulting and launching co-working spaces, co-living spaces. And then I had a point where I was like, you know, I'm good. I don't need to prove to myself anymore that I'm successful. And then I all of a sudden really, really wanted to help women. I was just like, I mean, I want to help everyone, but I know how much women that are back home in the US or Europe, they're just like sitting at their desk and they want to make sure they have 100% of everything ready and safe before they go and work remotely or even ask to work remotely. And I'm like, no, it can be better. So I started consulting companies to go remote. And because I thought, you know, I'm over here, I'm on the outside of the bubble. And if I go back into corporate, I can help them transition. Because that was the big part is so many companies are just trying to meet their KPIs and, you know, make profit every year and stuff. And they don't have time or the emotional energy to transition to remote. So I was like, I can step in and help. And so that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years.
Amazing. What an entrepreneurial journey of evolving your work to enable your travel. And you've traveled loads, haven't you, since then? So 50 countries that I read about you, and doing all this different stuff, which is absolutely amazing. So very quickly before we wrap up, a typical day in the life of Brittany Bond. What's it like?
I wake up, I meditate, I go swimming in the sea, I run, I do yoga, and then I sit down. I'm doing crypto investing right now and investigating blockchain specifically to help women gain more financial freedom. So I'll spend a couple hours on calls with people, and then I do a lot of community building. So I will hang out with my community here. We build gardens, we help the local Thai people. So there's constantly things happening.
Fantastic.
But the first part of my day is like for me and like soul building, like, you know, for my creativity. And then I usually do my work and then I have time to give back to the community.
Absolutely love that. Brittany Bond, what a fantastic work style story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Keep in touch. We've been Work Style Stories. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.